Hello and welcome to this live stream on getting started with paragraphs in Drupal. Now, if you've done a bit of site building in the past, or you've talked to people about Drupal in general, I'm sure you've heard about paragraphs, because the paragraphs module is one of these modules that is an essential module. Now, I do mention that a lot. I do. But essentially what it is that it allows you to create a website in a very particular way. So instead of chucking everything into a text editor, as you generally would, instead you use this paragraphs module to create components which can then be added to the page. So think of it as kind of like a component builder. So you can call these components modules. Some people call it modules, which can be very confusing. If you're using Drupal, because sometimes I'm thinking modules, what, you want me to install a module? Well, I can do that. But I've called them components, I've called them paragraphs, I've called them modules, I've called them widgets. And if you want to learn more about the module, just head over to drupal.org/project/paragraphs. And if you come down here, you can see a nice little explanation. This is a nice little screenshot. So instead of here on the left, having everything in a single text area or a single CK editor, you can break it out into separate components. Now, this means that you do have to create these paragraph types. That's what they're called. And from a Drupal standpoint, paragraphs are fieldable entities. So the same way you create and attach fields on content types is the same way you add it to paragraphs. And while I was preparing for this live stream, I did scroll all the way down and have a look at the installs, because right now it is over 200,000 installations, which is absolutely nuts. Because I remember, now I'm showing my age, I remember when it was 2014, 2015, and there was only a couple thousand installs, and we were going to use this on a website, and we were umming and ahhing about using it, but we thought, the install count's pretty low. Is it going to be maintained? But look at it. It just keeps growing. And honestly, this is a great sign of Drupal in general. Yes, Drupal 7 has been declining the install, but not that bad actually. But you can see Drupal 8 just keeps growing. And when did it hit over, like, 2022, I'd say? That's what, first few months of 2022, he probably jumped over to 200,000. So it's great to see growth in Drupal. That's something we kind of lack sometimes. Some people are like, oh, is Drupal dying? Well, the type of websites you use to build Drupal has changed, of course. But it's good to see a nice growth. It's kind of like peaking up around here. Anyway, I'm doing my part to promote Drupal. So I recommend everyone should contribute by just talking about Drupal. Most important thing. Okay. So let's go back to here. And as I mentioned, paragraphs is used to create reusable components that you can add in to a page. And the hardest part really is creating these components. So that's what I want to show you today. So today we're going to go through the process of learning how to use the module, creating a card component, and towards the end, we are going to create and theme the card component using Bootstrap 5 and Radix, which is my favorite theme to use when we want to use Bootstrap, because using a front-end component really does help in using paragraphs. It just makes life so much easier. All right, let's start things off by installing the module. So scroll down, grab the latest version, and jump over to your terminal, and let's just download it. So I'm just going to download it using Composer, good old Composer, and it should be pretty quick because it is cached. And let's jump over to our site, close this tab, go to Extend, and I should see, if I type in paragraphs, I should see the paragraphs module. Now, there are a few submodules that you need to be aware of, and I'll go through the paragraphs library later on, but you have paragraphs demo. This is just a a great way to demo paragraphs. So if you just want to install it, it will create a whole bunch of paragraph types, and it's a good way to just demo it. But you can see that it does require Search API, entity usage, entity browser, and so on and so forth. Then you have Paragraphs Library. Now, this module allows you to create reusable paragraph types. Now, I did mention reusable in the beginning, but this will kind of make sense when we start using it, because you can create a library of paragraphs and then just embed them into your individual pages. So it's a great way of creating a library of paragraphs, because generally you create a paragraph, attach it to a page, and you're done. And you can't really reuse it. So that is a nice thing to have. And then below that, we have paragraphs type permissions. Now, this allows you to define permissions for individual paragraph types. I'm not going to really cover it here, but it is pretty self-explanatory. The benefit of using the paragraph types permission is that you can control exactly which role has access to specific paragraph types. So in the past, I have used it to give editors access to, say, a call to action paragraph, and then another editor access to a sign up letter form. I've also used it to control premium content. So we, in the past, created a premium content paragraph type, and only users with a specific role had access to that paragraph. So you can see there's a whole bunch of things you can do with that. And I do apologize. I will be saying paragraph a lot, and I do hope my pop filter stops those pops, because paragraph, chucks implosives into the video. So I do apologize for that. But for now, let's just start off by installing paragraphs. It's going to install entity reference revisions. Don't worry, that module comes down as a dependency, but it is a required module. So just click on continue and you are done. Okay, so what are we going to build right now? So what we are actually going to build, let me bring up the component that I want to implement, and that is, where can I bring it up? That is right here. So it is a Bootstrap component, okay? So this is what we want to implement, the card component. Come along in here, and we're going to have an image, title, and also a description as well. So often when you're building out these type of Drupal sites, you do get designs, and you need to figure out, okay, what common features is there in the design? And this comes down to Drupal site building in general. Often you get 3 or 4 designs, and you're thinking, okay, this content type's going to be article, this content type's going to be page. Oh no, there is a commonality between these 2 designs. So this is a landing page, and this is a static page, and you need to figure all that stuff out. When it comes to components, now you're going to the macro level, like you're going one level down, and you're trying to figure out common components in the actual design, which can be a bit of a head scratcher, especially if you have a component that's very similar, but it might have a background. And then you're thinking, oh, how do we implement that? So I'm going to keep this simple. What I want to do is give an editor the ability to create these card components in a row of 3. So there will be 1, 2, 3. I don't know if we can see one down here, maybe not. In essentially a grid of card components. No, there isn't. That's fine. That's fine. Let's scroll back up. Let's keep it simple. So if we scroll down to, where was that? Right here. Okay. So we have image, title, and description, and that's it. And we are going to use the Radix theme to implement this, because it actually comes with a component for it. Now, when I say component, I mean a Radix theme component, and it just makes our life so much easier. But we will touch a bit of code, which is great. So the first thing we're going to do is create, 2 paragraph types. One will be called card item, I believe. But again, you can call it card, you can call it card item, Naming things is hard, trust me. I'm going to call it card item, and then we're going to create a parent paragraph type called card list, and this card item will be nested within that paragraph. So that's something you can do. You can create nested paragraphs. Now, with great power comes great responsibility. You don't want to have too many levels of nested paragraphs because things get very difficult when you have to maintain 3 or 4 levels of paragraphs. I've had to work on projects like that in the past, and it hasn't been a fun experience, but you can do that. All right, so let's go ahead and actually create a paragraph type. So come into structure and you should see paragraph types. Click on it from structure and then click on add paragraph type, and we'll call this one. So we'll start from the inside out. So this will be called card item. I'm going to keep it singular because there will be a single card item. And you can add in an icon if you like, and you can also put in a description. Bootstrap card. There we go. And click on Save and Manage Fields. All right. Paragraphs are fieldable entities. So you will see the Manage Fields, Manage Form Display, and Manage Display. For people who don't know or who are new to Drupal, Drupal does have a field system. So the same interface for managing fields is identical across any type of fieldable system. And I have covered how to use the field system in the past. Just search the WebWash YouTube channel for a video, but creating fields is exactly the same. So let's go ahead and create our title field. I'll call this one title, and let's make it a plain text. And I'll also make it a plain text as well, a field. So it's a single text field, not a text area. And you can make it required. Let's not make it required. Let's keep it simple. Let's create another field. The next one will be description. This one will be plain text. And, well, no, actually, let's make it formatted. And, well, no, actually, let's keep it plain text. Because I'm thinking, if we come back here, see, this is the thing you need to think of. If this is bold, interesting. No, I'm just trying to think, because if it is a formatted text area, that means CK Editor will chuck in the paragraph tags. So we're going to have an issue where there's going to be paragraph tags inside of it, but we already have a P tag next to it. No, let's just keep it simple. And you can change it later on, but let's keep it plain. And so it'll be it'll be a text area. And then click on Save and Continue. And last but not least, we need to add in an image field, but I don't like to use image fields directly. I prefer to use a media field. So let's go ahead and install the media and media library module. So go ahead, search for it, and install media and media library. Because you shouldn't use a direct image field unless you really, really have to. Come back in here, and we should see the media field. There it is right there. And we'll call this one media and click on Save and Continue. Let's scroll down and select image. We only want to allow the image field. Sorry, an image upload. Okay, let me just prepare a few things here. So I've got everything ready to go. Give me 1 second. Okay. So we've created our paragraph, our first paragraph. Now let's go ahead and create our card list paragraph, which will have these card items embedded into it. So to do that, let's go back to structure, paragraph types, and then click on add paragraph type. And we'll call this one card list. You can call it cards or card list. Yeah, again, naming things is hard. So I'll call it card. Well, let's see. Did I put in an uppercase for all of it? No, I didn't. Okay. We'll call this one card list. And then click on Save and manage fields. Let's add in a title field so we can add a little title above things. And let's click on add a new field and we'll call this one cards. And this will be a paragraph field. And come in here and select card item. We only want to allow, so which paragraph types should be allowed, include the selected below card item. We only want to allow the card item one, and that is it. Okay, so at this point, if we come back here, we do have, let's fix this up. Card list. All right. So at this point, we have two paragraph types. We have a card item and a card list. The card items will be nested inside of the card list. So when you're on a page, you will only add in the card list paragraph, and then within card list, you'll add in the individual card item, which is this. So it'll be image, title, and body. Now we need to add in a paragraph on a content type, and this is what will be shown on the front end. So go to structure, content types, and let's add it to basic page. You can add it to any content type, just add it to basic page. And we'll call this one paragraphs. I've called this field components. As I've said before, I've called it modules. I've called it many things, but I just like to call it, in this case, paragraphs, because for teaching purposes, it just makes life so much easier. Because we're going to be throwing the word component a lot. It's just easier, paragraphs. And then click on paragraphs here as the field, and then click on continue. From the type of item to reference, make sure you select paragraph and the number of, and this allowed number of values. Now, it's important to understand that if you select unlimited, which is the default value, you can add in any number of paragraph types, which is fine. There are cases, however, where you only want to allow one paragraph. So you may have a header paragraph field, or you may have a footer paragraph field, or you may have a sidebar paragraph field. And there are particular use cases. In the past, I've had clients request that we have a specific area for them to create a component in the header region, but you can only put in one paragraph. Well, then in that case, you will control and change this to one, for example. So there are use cases in controlling the allowed number of values. But in this case, let's just keep it to unlimited. And then if we scroll down, we can control what paragraph types should appear. You can even control the order of them. On a large website, this list of paragraph components is going to be big. I have worked on websites that have 20, 30 different paragraph types. And so managing this list can be a little annoying, to say the least. But what I like to do is, instead of having this include the selected below and then having to select each one, it's best, especially at the page level, to simply exclude, because there's a good chance you are going to only exclude a few, but you want or pretty much most of the paragraph types to appear. So I often like to just set it to exclude the selected below, and we do not want to allow card item because it is part of card list. So you are going to be able to add in a card item, but it's going to be via the parent paragraph type. And so just select exclude the selected below, because then when you create a new paragraph type, it'll straight away appear here in the list. And if you do have multiple content types, then it just saves you from going into 20 odd different content types and then coming here and modifying this field. It's just a simple, it's a nice little, it's a nice thing to think of in the future. All right, let's click on that. Now let's go ahead and create our actual component. So I'll click on create more content, click on basic page, and I'll call this one test page. And then if we scroll down, we will see this paragraphs, and then we see this card list, and it straight away selects and defaults to the card list and cards. And so these are the card items. So I'll call this one card list 1, and then I'll call this one card item 1. Keep it simple. And what I'll do is I will upload, where is my test image? Here we go, test images. Let me just chuck in one of these, put this in and select it. Then we can go ahead and click on add card item. I'll call this one card item 2, card item 2. And again, I will upload another image, a fabulous image, which just says image 2. Trust me, it's handy to have these type of images. And let's click on save. All right. Now we've come along here and we do have our components. It's looking fine. Of course, it doesn't look like this because we haven't got there yet, but we are creating, we are focusing on fleshing out the content model. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to define the content model. Just with anything in Drupal, you need to make sure the content model is there. So everything is looking good. If we come back here, click on edit, we can go in there and we can edit our card components. Now let's take a look at this widget, because this is where a lot of the heavy lifting of paragraphs happens. It is at the widget level, because this is where editors spend a lot of time moving things around, updating things, and managing components. So the first thing you may notice is that this form is pretty big. So there are a few things we can do to kind of clean up this form just to give the editor a better experience, because right now I've only got 2 paragraphs nested into one, and on a decent sized website you can have 5 or 6, probably 10 different components or paragraphs on your site. So that can sometimes be very difficult to like move things around and just play around with it. So let's go ahead and clean this up. And the first thing I like to do is display a preview of the paragraph instead of seeing the edit form straight away. So what I mean by that is, let's go into structure, paragraph types. And what I want to do is go into the manage display on the card item, scroll down and then check preview. Now preview is a view mode which comes with paragraphs. And what we can do is, let's just reorder this. I'll hide that. I will render the image so it is 100 by 100. And I'll put the title and description in line and save it. Because then what we can do is, if we edit our card list paragraph, so you first want to make sure you are using paragraphs stable. Don't use legacy unless you have a reason. I do recommend that you move over to paragraphs stable. Click on the widget settings here. And what we can do is change the edit mode. So if you set it to closed, then the closed mode can be a summary. Now summary is its own bit of functionality where it tries to summarize the paragraph, but you don't have much control over what's displayed. Instead, I like to select preview, because this will then go ahead and use the preview view mode. And then click on update, click on save. And then now if you come along here and refresh, you will see that it is displaying a preview version of the paragraph. But you still have control. You can still reorder these fields just by modifying the preview view mode. Now, if we were to change this to summary, you'll see what happens. Click on that, hit refresh. Here, it displays it this way. Now, for some paragraph types, that's fine. But if you do have a lot of fields on the paragraph, then the fields go to the right and it kind of gets hidden. And this file name really doesn't explain what the image is. I do prefer, as I mentioned, to use preview because you do have more control over that. So let's just go back here, save that, hit refresh, and that's it. And this gives you a nice little editing experience. If you want to go ahead and edit the paragraph, you can just click on edit over here, modify this one, and then you can go in there and collapse it. If you want to go and edit all of them, you can just click on edit all and then collapse it as well. Just be careful when clicking on edit all. If you have a massive form, it can like take a few seconds to load up because it does it all through Ajax. And what I mean by a large form, I mean 20, 30 odd paragraph types. Now, one thing to be aware of is that sometimes it can be a little confusing, especially if you have multiple paragraph fields, because remember, we are modifying the paragraph field on the card list paragraph, but we also have a paragraph field on the content type. And this is where things can sometimes get a little confusing because you will come along in here and be like, all right, let me just modify this, make this change. And then you're like, wait a minute, why is it different? Why isn't it working? Anyway, so just be aware of that. Just think about exactly where you want to change the, at which paragraph field you want to change the configuration. Because what we can do here is we can come back into the card list, click on manage display, enable the preview for this paragraph type. So let's go ahead and do that. You can set the title. And then what you can do is you can then control and display a preview of this. So let's go ahead and display, well, you may not want to display this preview view mode, but let's just do it this way for now. Just to illustrate a point. Well, let's change this to preview. Click on save. And then if we change this to closed, hit update, hit save, come back here. What does this look like? It looks like this. And this does make it just easier to move things around. You can go ahead and edit, or you can go and collapse all of them. So there's a lot you can do there. There are other options here on the paragraphs stable, and I do recommend that you spend a bit of time getting your head around them. So the first thing is paragraph title and plural paragraph title. What that allows you to do is change, I believe, these labels right here. So you can change it if you want to anything to something else. So you don't have to change the field label. You can just change it from there. The other option you have is how you add the actual paragraph types. If you do have multiple ones, you can display it as buttons. You can even display them as a modal pop-up. So if we click on update and hit save, this is a little fancy one. This is useful if you have multiple paragraph types, which you of course will. If we scroll down, you can set your default values. You wouldn't want to set it to card list unless that's the only paragraph you have, but if you have multiple paragraphs, you will set it to something else. So let me set this back. The other option, which I do like, is this widget features. So you have duplicate, you have collapse, you also have add above, and you have convert. Now this convert does require a custom, as far as I'm aware, because this is a new feature of paragraphs. This does require a plugin, and this allows you to convert a paragraph from one to another. But it does require a bit of custom code, so you can, because you essentially need to handle the mapping yourself. Paragraphs isn't that smart at this point to handle the mapping for yourself, but the duplicate feature is pretty good, and I'll show you that right now. So let's just save that. Come along down here, and if we refresh and click on this option right here, we can click on duplicate. and it'll go ahead and simply duplicate that paragraph, which is awesome. Now, you cannot duplicate a paragraph from one page to another. Maybe there's a custom module that does that. I don't know. I have not really done that myself, but you couldn't then create another page and duplicate it. What you could essentially do is clone the page, and then you straight away get those paragraph types on it. But you can't say duplicate this page and send it just to another page. It wouldn't be hard to implement. You just need to write code to handle that. But if there is a module out there, leave a comment below. All right, so let's just go in there and fix this up. Let's put in card 2, and I'll just change this so it is, no, what is that? 2.1. And I'll edit this one, 2.2. And what else can we do? Let's also chuck in another card here. So let's go edit this right here. And I'll call this one, what is it? Card item 3. And I will throw in this right here. And if we scroll down, click on save, we have our card list. We also have our card list. Then we have we also have our card list, card item 2, 2.1, and so on and so forth. There you go. So at this point, we've created our paragraph types. We have also created our widget. Now the other feature of a widget that I'll show you before we move on is the drag and drop, because if you click on this option button up the top here and then click on drag and drop, what you can do is move paragraphs up and down this way. And this is a great way, especially if you have a lot of paragraphs where you can move things around. So we could move the card list 2 to be above, but you can also move paragraphs between nested fields. So we could move the card item from the list 1 into the second list, and you can move it vice versa as well. And this is actually a very useful feature if you do have a lot of paragraphs. And then once you're done, you can click on drag and drop, and then you hit save. And now you have a newly ordered paragraph field. So it is a powerful feature. I've used it a lot. It is nice to have, especially if you do have a lot of paragraphs. Now, before we move on, do we have any questions? Let me take a look and see how we're going. All right. Okay. All right, we will just give me 1 second before we move on to other things. Okay. Let me now show you how to use the paragraphs library, because paragraphs library allows you to create a library of components which then can be reused into different pages. Because right now, if I edit this test page, this paragraph can only be used, this card list paragraph can only be used on this page. But what if you want to create a reusable card list component and then have it embedded into multiple pages, so that then in the future, if you want to, you can go ahead and add in an extra card, and it automatically propagates across all the pages that is being embedded into. Well, using the paragraphs library module, you can do that. So if you go to extend and search for paragraphs, you will see this paragraphs library. Now, it does have a dependency on entity usage. And you can see here it is missing. So if I search for entity usage, this is a module. I'm just reading the description. This module provides a tool to track entity relationships in Drupal. So essentially just tells you where it's being used. And it is used by a lot of modules. It is used by a lot of modules. There you go. 40,000 installs. So let's go ahead and download this module. And it is just set and forget. There's no extra configuration, which is great. Come back to our extend page, search for paragraphs, and then click on paragraphs library. There we go. And click on install. Then under content, you will see a new option called paragraphs. If you can't see this tab, it should be there. Just clear your cache. Chances are something's caching it. And then here you have this add library item. So you have to think of it this way. Paragraphs library creates a new paragraph type. I did say in the beginning that I'm going to say the word paragraph a lot, but it essentially creates a paragraph type that has a paragraph field onto it. So all you're doing is embedding this library item and then referencing the library item through a paragraph type. It'll make sense. Trust me. Let's go ahead and create a library item. I'll call this one reusable card list. And straight away here, you can see we have a card list paragraph. And then you also have a from library paragraph type, which then is used to reference this library item. So click on card list, call this one reusable card list. And let me just chuck that in there. And we'll select an existing image. Well, give this a number. There we go. And let's also select image 2 and click on save. All right. So now we've created our library item. Now we need to reference this and place it into a page. If you go to structure and paragraph types, you'll see we do have a new paragraph type called from library. And you want to make sure that if you go into your paragraph field, and let's go and edit this, you want to make sure if you have selected include the selected below, you want to check it. But luckily for us, and this is why I set it to exclude the selected below, because now from library will automatically appear. So everything is working as it should. Let's go ahead and create another test page. Call this one reusable test page. And what we can do is select from library. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and remove the default value, because now we do have multiple paragraph types. So let's edit this. Oh no, it's not there. It is manage form display. And let's set it to none. And now if we refresh, we should see an empty paragraph field, which is great. And then we can select from library and what was it called? Reusable card list. There we go. And click on save. What? Reusable test page. And now we have our reusable paragraph right there. If we go to our test page, we can add it here as well. From library, reusable, and hit save. So now we have this component in 2 pages. Now let's go ahead and modify this. So if we go here, and let's change this to updated. Oh, no, not that one, because that's the actual, what is that? Oh, no, that's the label. Let's change this card list. Updated, hit save, and hopefully it will update across all the pages. So if we go down here, let's scroll down, there we go. It says updated. You could have caching problems. No, you will have caching problems if you do have a CDN in front and you are heavily caching your Drupal site. So you may have to just rebuild the cache because, yeah, maybe the caching is going to go a bit haywire. But as you can see, you can modify the component once, and then it is updated across all the pages. So if we go back and then click on reusable test page, scroll down, where is it? It should say updated, and it says that. Perfect. Okay. So at this point, we have created our paragraph types. We have attached paragraph fields. We've created reusable paragraph components. Now it is time to do some styling. Because as I mentioned earlier, we are implementing this card component, which is a Bootstrap component. So we are implementing the image, the card title, and the description. There is this link here, but you will be able to implement that yourself once you see how it all works. Now, we are going to be using Drupal Radix. So if I come along in here, and we're going to be using the Radix 6 because that has single directory components, which works pretty well. So we're going to be using that right there. So let's start things off by just following this pretty much. And it's pretty simple to install it. So let's go ahead. Well, let me zoom that in a little bit. And what we're going to do is first copy this across, and let's open this up. And did I type in Drush? Yep. So the first thing we need to do is install the single directory component and serialization. It's going to go ahead and install it. Now, these are core modules, I believe, so you don't have to download them. Then let's go ahead and download the dev version of version 6 of Radix. There we go. Then what we need to do is create a subtheme. Where was that? Let me bring this up. And I'll call this one WW Radix. And it's just going to go ahead and install it. There we go. Simple, simple. And I do believe we need to then enable it. So we'll do that drush then, which is theme enable. I always thought that was a funny bug, but no, it's not. So let's just bring this up. Well, no. Radix. And finally, we need to set the default theme to our new theme. Yes. All right, we're getting there. Then we need to go to our actual theme. So that'll be CD themes custom. There we go. Let me bring that back up. And what we need to do is NVM. So I do believe NVM use stable. Stable does work. So that is a node version manager. And finally, we need to go ahead and just do npm install. It's going to go ahead and download a version of Bootstrap and set everything up locally. Now, this is why I do like Radix. Let's just give this a go. We don't have to set up anything else because we are just going to compile it once and that's it. So we don't have to compile it consistently because we're not making Sass changes or anything like that. We're just compiling it once and we are good to go. So just give that a moment. This is NPM, so I don't know, go make a coffee. It shouldn't take that long. It shouldn't take that long. And then finally, what we're going to do is simply run npm run production or dev. It's up to you. And in the meantime, what I will do is I will bring up PHP Storm, because I do have themes right here. And we have a copy of our theme. And we come along in here and we can see, there we go. Well, we can just run this dev mix. There we go. npm run dev. You might have to run it once or twice. No, just run it again. All right, it's all compiled. Now, if we go to our home page, we should see a pretty empty Bootstrap site. There we go. It is fairly empty. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on setting up Radix because I've got a video on it. I think I've covered Bootstrap a fair bit in the past. So have a play with it. But what we're going to do now is implement this card component. Now, as I mentioned, the reason why I like Radix is because if we go into the site, the Radix theme, you will see all of these components. And the one that I want to focus on is this card component. And it's right here. So we don't have to implement this ourselves. And if we click on this README, there are examples right here on how to import it in. So all we need to do is override the right. There's still a bit of work. Trust me, there's still a bit of work. But what we need to do is override the correct paragraph template and then just populate these values. We won't use all of these, but we will use some of them. So let's go ahead now. And the first thing we need to do is turn on Twig debugging. So go into configuration, development, enable Twig debugging, and maybe, why not? I will disable cache. And then now what we can do is take a look at, let's go to this test page. Because now if we inspect, we should see these components right here. And I'm just having a look to see what it looks like on the screen. Yeah, it's visible. All right. And you can see here, we do have these components over here, but I do need to see that. All right. So if we click on this image, for example, we can see all of the templates which are loaded up. And this is a feature of Twig, and you just need to enable it as I just did. All right. So we first need to scroll all the way up. And what I need to do is we need to override the card component paragraph. So let's go ahead and grab this one. So the card item. And you can see here, all right, it is loading up paragraphs, themes, and then paragraph.html.twig. Now, if we open that one up, so what is that? That's this one. We need to now copy this across and scroll all the way down to our theme. And I'll chuck this into a paragraph folder, paste it, but we only want to override it for the card component. So here you can see this file name suggestions. What essentially happens is Drupal will start from the top down. It'll search for, it'll first search for a theme, a Twig template, which is just for the default view mode for the card item component. If you can't find that, then it will search for a theme, a a theme file just for the card item. If you can't find that, it will then do default. If you can't do that, then it'll find the paragraph. And you can see with an X here on the left, it has picked up this one. So what we need to do is we need to add in -- card item. Then click on OK. And let's just test this out. So this is what I like to do. And let me go back. No, not that one. Drush. There we go. Let's just pop this and I'll just do a Drush CR just to make sure things are cleared. Come back, refresh, and now we can see that yes, our card item is getting picked up. Then if we scroll up, we should see, there we go, our bit of text there. Okay, so that's been added in, which is great. You can see that's been added in there as well. All right, now what we need to do is copy over the component. So let's go into here. And instead, let's grab this. And I will copy this just to kind of show you how it's done. And what we need to do is pretty much, let's just get rid of these values. We could even get rid of these classes, but I'll leave them in there for now. And let's save these components in there. Then hit refresh and let's see what happens. All right, so we are getting these components. You can kind of see them. They are right there. So they are slowly coming along, but we do need to do a bit more work. So first things first is I do not want to have these fields displayed. So card item, or what is it? The title, image, and description through this variable right here. So what we can do is we can type in without, oh, there we go. Thank you very much. See, this is where CodePilot can be a bit annoying. All right, there we go. So that we've got that one. Let's also put in field title and field description. So now it should not display these fields, but we still want them because we are going to be passing, because if you take a look here, we are passing the content field media. So that's coming in from this content variable and it's getting passed over. So now if we refresh, we should see these card items. Okay, so these are kind of coming along, and there are a few more things that we need to configure. So if we open this up, we can see our, where is it? Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll all the way to the top, and we do have our card body, and then we have our field media right there, and that is getting displayed in there. Okay, so what we need to do now is adjust all of these options right here. So first things first, let's remove, I don't think we need header, don't think we need footer. What we do need, well, we don't need label, so let's change, so this card title, the best way to figure out, so if you come into these components here, you will see exactly what is available. So card title type is string. Okay, so that allows us to add in a string. If you look at the card title tag, we can add in these options right here, H1 all the way to H6. Okay, fine. But I don't want label. In fact, I want field title. And let's leave the tag to H4, that is fine. Then we have body. So body will be, the body tag will be wrapped with a div and a paragraph. And then we have this. This is a body card. This needs to be dynamic. Let's remove this text. Don't need that. Let's make the border. Let's put in the border true. The utilities, let's leave the utilities in there for now. We don't need this. And last but not least, let's leave that in because that's the media. And we'll set this to top because I do know if you grab that and let's go back into the component and search for it, we will see that we do have 3 options. Well, empty, top, and bottom. So that's the position. So if you do want to see what is available, you can come along in here and see exactly what can be passed. You can see that here for this card text tag, you can put in a paragraph, span, or div. So it's up to you. All right, let's close that. Finish off that. Let's refresh this page and let's take a look. All right, this is starting to come along, you can see that it's saying media there. What is that? That is a label. All right, let's get rid of that. Can I do it from here? No, I can't. So what is that? Let's go back here. Then card manage display. So, oh, well, yeah, let's of course hide all of these labels. Hit save. And finally, let's hide these. All right. And hit save. We refresh. What was that? Don't know. What the hell is that? Why is that? Anyway, it's just going into Google. Anyway. All right. Now these card items are coming along pretty nice. All right. Let's now fix this up so it doesn't display it this way. Well, actually, let's just leave it like that for now. So it's pretty obvious. All right. So we have our card components. They are kind of looking like a card component now. If we take a look here and inspect, you will see we do have these field values because these field templates because that's coming from the actual paragraph field, I believe. Oh no, that's coming from the media. So that's fine. And then if we take a look in where's the card component? Oh, there we go. All right. So the card component starts this way. All right. We have the card component. It's got these values up the top here. And then if we scroll down, we have the card body with the title of H4. And we also have this, card. Here we go. This card, yeah, this is a card body. So let's clean that up. All right, so this needs to be this needs to not be hard coded. So what will that be? That would be let's test this out. Content field description. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay, cool, that worked. That was even better than I thought. All right, that was easy. Because in the past, I think when I've used a long text formatted, you need to add in a few extra things, but no, that's actually pretty easy. And that way, that is just... wait a minute. All right. So that has not been added in correctly. You can see that it is chucking in these extra fields. All right. So we have a few options here. We can either override this particular template or, because you can see here, it's chucking in a paragraph, like a broken paragraph. And this is now adding in an extra padding here, you can see. And this is the stuff you need to deal with. This is the stuff you need to deal with. All right. Now let's do a bit of debugging. All right. Let's chuck this. What is it? Dump. Always forget. What is it? Is this it? It's got it. All right. Cool. That's what I want. All right. That's not that helpful. Inline. I want this value. All right. Let's go back here. What is it? Strip. No. Trim. Does that? Oh. Oh, brilliant. Let's have a look. Let's turn on logging. Where is that logging? All right. What's it complaining? Oh, man. All right. What's it complaining about? Arguments. All right. Chances are, I think I know what the problem is. Let's go back here. I think we need to render it first, then trim. But it's not. It's chucking in all that stuff. I see. All right. I think we then need to do, what is it? Strip tags. Strip. What is it? Strip tags. Does this fix the problem? There we go. That's interesting. See, this is where if you have, so even if you do strip out, so let's say for example, you do just have this. The problem is, and you've overridden this twig template. The problem is, as soon as you have twig debugging turned on, it's going to chuck in all of these extra items. Is that going to cause a problem? I don't know. All right, let's fix that up. All right, perfect. Twig debugging. Love it. Well, what did I do there? What did I do? All right. Twig debugging. Gotta love it. Actually, no, I'm not. I like Twig, but sometimes I feel like you fight against it too much. Bring back PHP template. No, that's not right. Shouldn't say that. For people who don't know, I think before Twig, we used to be able to just write PHP. Yeah. Now we refresh. There we go. Card component. Go right in there. And there we go. Look at that. Look at that beauty. I am getting hungry. All this baguette here emoji. What's that? Burrito emoji. A salad emoji. There we go. That's now looking much nicer. You can finally just see the text inside, and you don't have any empty paragraphs, paragraph tags. Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and fix up the grid, because right now you'll see here we do have this grid item. And what I want to do is I actually want to control the grid from the card list, because right now it is displaying. So if you take a look here, the paragraph, where is it? Yeah, card list. This is displaying every card individually, but essentially what we need is we need to add this col4 above, and then also wrap it with a row. So what we need to do is we need to get this template. So that is filled. So let me go ahead. Field dot. Oh, it's there. Where is it? Okay, it's here. Perfect. Now, what will the name be? So that'll be fields, field cards, field cards. So that's the field. Yeah, sorry. So the name should be field cards dash dash and then the card list. All right, let's do that. Well, let me just copy this first. copy that. And then we can paste that in. Oh, okay. This only pulls in that. Actually, I want, where's that component? I need all of this. Because that, well, I'm going to probably remove half, or well, pretty much most of it. Chuck that in. Clear the cache. Okay, there's a comment about adding in emojis into the dev output. That's just a Radix thing. Radix does it. So I don't do it. All right, let's go back here. Refresh. And now we should see, here we go. It's been overridden. That's my nice little test to make sure things have been overridden correctly. Then if we jump back here, what we need to do is pretty much chuck most of this stuff out because we are going to heavily modify this. So what we're going to do is remove it all. No, thank you. CodePilot, don't need that. And first things first, let's add in a div rows. So that's going to be our row. So if we let me turn off this autocomplete. All right, so now that's going to add in the rows there. It's going to be empty, but it's looking exactly the way I expect it. Then what we need to do is, if I put in the percentage, we need to loop in items and for, and then finally it needs to display item content. Okay, we refresh. All right, and it's displaying the components. That's correct, or the cards. However, what we need to do is put in a div. So we'll call this one col md4 or dash md4, and we'll fix this up. And let's jump back to this component. Let's remove this utility. Come back here, and it should how is it displaying it? All right, md4 col. Oh, sorry. Should be row, not rows. There we go. Things are now popped nicely to the side, which is great. And if we refresh, sorry, if we put it down nicely, let's fix this up so it looks nicer. Then what we can do is put in a col-12, so it always just goes to 12. And that way it actually drops down to 12 columns, so it's full width, which is correct. And let's also add in, so you can see here that there is a bit of padding. And this padding is thanks to, I believe, this MB3. You can see here. What is that? Is that padding there? Oh no. Is added there. But let's put in a MY here. So it is, what would that be? MY, then 3. And that'll add an extra padding. If we refresh, it'll just pop things down nicely. There you go. Adds a nice bit of padding above there. And now we have a nice little component. Okay. So what we've essentially done, if we go through this again, the field cards, so the field cards paragraph field on the card list, we are adding in the grid at the field level in the parent paragraph type. And then in the paragraph card item, we're simply implementing the Radix card component. Now, this can be implemented. Now, this way of implementing the card can also be used to implement any of these other components. And another thing which you can do, which I'm not going to do in this video, but you could essentially do it, is put a little drop down. Where is it? Put a little drop down and make these configurable. That is 100% possible. They can go in there and just put in these little items in there and make them configurable. So an editor can select, okay, I want this to be a col 12 or a col 6, and they can fully control it. Because now what's going to happen is if we come along in here, and let's go ahead and edit this. Where is the tabs? Anyway, don't want to worry about that too much. Come along here, drag and drop, and let's chuck in all of these items in. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now all of these items should be nicely displayed there. And then we have the reusable components. You can see here, they are all nicely displayed in a grid. And if we come back here and let's turn off twig debugging so we can actually see the markup in a nice way. Nice clean way. Refresh. There we go. Come along here. You can see that the paragraph, where we have the paragraph here, and then everything is all Drupal markup, then it's row, and now this is Bootstrap. Then it's a col, which is a grid, and then within that, we have card, like what is that? A height of 100%. Now, these classes are hard-coded in the component, so what you will have to do if you want to override those, unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, if you come up the top come up the top here, cards, I do believe they need to probably be removed. Maybe there is an easy way to remove it yourself. Just having a quick look. Card fluid. Oh, here we go. It's right here. So yes, they are getting added there. But you can override these components, and then you can override the components the same as any other type of template. And I have covered that in, I think, a showdown of Bootstrap themes video. So if you want to learn more about that, but it'll be annoying to copy this whole thing just to change these classes. It would be good if this was actually configurable. Well, maybe somebody should create a patch, because it is all open source, and just make it configurable, or just set a default. And that's about it. Or just be able to modify it yourself. Okay, so I think that is it. Any questions? All right, how are we going for other locations? Let's take a quick look before I wrap things up. Let's take a look here. That's been pretty quiet on the LinkedIn. All right. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Drupal or other CMSs, head over to webwash.net, and also check out the other videos in this YouTube channel or wherever this video is hosted, because chances are there will be a whole bunch of videos. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.